My name is JD Bradley, and I've had a hell of a life that's given me a unique perspective and crazy stories that I share here. I just lost someone that meant a great deal to me. I had this thought years ago, and it's more pertinent now than ever. I've lost people that I've cared about to insanity, frequently chemically induced, in such a way that they never came back. I've lost a few people due to bad luck and prison and shit. I've lost way more people to death, people I really sincerely cared about. People come and frequently people matter and people go. People also die and get slammed by life into a curb before they get washed down the drain at the end of the street. That doesn't mean that you don't care, but it does mean to continue. And the more people show up that you care about, and a few that need to get stabbed. I met Jay Paul about 20 years ago when I first moved to Corpus Christi. I developed a crack habit, and he's this little tiny old man. I mean, he was an old man back then. Like, he seemed like 100 back then. He had fucking white hair, and he's a little tiny guy. He was like maybe 5'5", but he was apparently a Golden Gloves boxer, by the way, back in the day, and he was a badass. And this old man just died. Like I said, he's mattered to me a great deal over the years, and we're gonna have a wake for him. And so I've been thinking of my favorite Jay Paul stories, and this is my absolutely favorite Jay Paul story. I lived on 5th Street, which was a very bad part of town. It's cleaned up somewhat since then. And Jay Paul showed up. And he had this crazy voice like this because he used to do heroin. And he shows up. He says, Jason, it's my understanding that you do crack. And he goes, I smoke crack. And like I said, this is like 20 years ago. This is like in the, just after 1999. So anyway, he says, I've got $100, and I know you're working, so I'm sure you have $100. So he says, if we take our $200, we can get a whole bunch of crack. And he says, and plus, I've got a little bit extra, so I can get us some whiskey to come down after it's over. Well, being where I was at the point, and he seemed like a pretty cool guy, I was like, man, that's a great idea, Jay Paul. And so we both went to the ATM at the PMI store in the ghetto about 2 blocks from where I was living. And we got our money. And we come back and we get our crack. And we smoked that crack and we smoked that crack and we smoked that crack. And oh my God, it was good crack. You know, as if crack would be a good thing. It was rewarding until we ran out. But that's the funny thing about crack. It's awesome until you run out. And then you desperately, desperately want some more. And so he says, Jason, I've got $60 more in my bank account, and I suspect you got $60 more in your bank account, and I've already bought the whiskey from the liquor store next to the PMI. How about we get one more thing of crack, then we hit the whiskey and take some Salmonex and pass the fuck out? Well, who was I to argue with that logic, being a crackhead at the time and down and out and being beat by life? And I really like this old guy. And like I said, he was an elderly motherfucker. And this was like 20 years ago. And I had a landline. So he calls these dudes. And the dudes show up with more crack. And they show up like this beat up fucking old Ford fucking Nova or Chevy Nova. Who the fuck made Nova anyway? And so he says, wait right here. And the dude driving the car stayed in the car. And the dude that got out of the car was, they were going to make the transaction. And Jay Paul, like I said, Jay Paul was like 5'5", 140 pounds, soaking fucking wet. And he goes, what the fuck is this? And the guy tries to say some bullshit, but the guy tried to rob him. Again, Jay Paul, 5'5" or so, jumps up in the air. I mean, high as shit. And this dude's like almost 6 feet tall. Fucking BAM! Knocks him the fuck out one fucking punch. And then starts rifling the guy's pockets. Driver gets out as if there's going to be a problem, except for when I'm like, you got a fucking problem? And then he saw how severe the situation was because I could take him and his partner was knocked out and it was 2-1. The old man already knocked the fucking one dude out. So he's like, no, man. So Jay Paul steals all the rest of the crack out of knocked out dude's fucking pockets and takes his wallet. I tell the driver, get the fuck out of here before I fuck you up. And they leave. Well, we had enough crack to stay up for about 2 more days. And then we finally got our fucking rest. And then eventually, I went to rehab, and my shit's a lot better now. I made over $100,000 last year, and I have a nice house in a good part of town, and blah, 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 blah. But J. Paul, I still went to visit him regularly, about once a month at a bar downtown. And I went to go see him about a month ago. And man, he's really old now. It seemed like he was 100 when I met him, but like he was like 120. I actually seemed the same age. He's one of those weird, not aging motherfuckers. But anyway, we're drunk, and I'm like, J. Paul, do you remember that time you knocked that dude out over some crack? And he's like, no. So I tell him the story because it's one of my favorite fucking J. Paul stories. And I go through the whole thing. He goes, I don't remember at all. He's like, be good. I remember I've been doing heroin and lots of drugs for a lot of years, and I drink really hard. And I was like, fair enough. But anyway, that's my number one favorite J. Paul story, and I'm going to tell that at his wake that we're going to have later this week. And I sincerely miss the old man. I sincerely miss a lot of people that have come into life and then disappeared. But, that's what it is, right? Have a nice night. Thank you for listening, my friends, and come on back sometime.